But people are gonna still go turn around and then say, well, yeah, the first black guy that found Canada is Matthew da Costa. When like his history book or whatever says he's a Moor, so they'll say black guy. Right, just to do the denationalization. Right?
Like Moors got kicked out of Spain, like within a generation before he was born. Pretty much probably his parents got kicked out of Spain, or his ancestors got invaded, and they went to Portugal. And they were Moors, because everybody knows it was Moors in Spain from 711 to 1492.
Exactly.
So then they were Moors, and then all of a sudden, when he comes to Canada, he's a black guy.
He lost his nationality on the ocean. Lost in translation.
Right. And then that's the like fraud legal aspect of it. Like, yeah, you know, technically, like, yeah, you know, we have to denationalize these people because we can't defeat them.
And the denationalization is making you agree that you're a slave. Once you agree that you're a slave, then bam, we got you. They say, what's a slave? Well, a slave is somebody who has a chain on them and you know, they have to pick cotton. Oh no, a slave is a black person. A slave is a Negro, a slave is a Trinidadian, a Jamaican, a Tobagonian, a St. Vincent, a St. Lucian, a Haitian, an African, you know, all those are slaves. And they admit that they're slaves too. It's not even like, they're like, yeah, we came over here. Okay, so then you're a slave then. You can't say that you're not a slave because it's 2012 and they don't have chains on you. But you're gonna say, I want reparations because you guys brought me over here on a slave ship. But you're not a slave though. Right? Because when the history of the Moors is so vast that all they can do is graft themselves onto it and then claim it, which is what they did. They grafted themselves onto it and then they claimed it. Right? They can't use it in its full capacity because, you know, they just can't. Because it's not really theirs, you know. But there's aspects of it that, you know, they could live comfortable because we set it up like that, so everybody could be in harmony. You don't have to worry about who has more stuff. Everybody has their own share that's good enough for you and your posterity and everything. You have to argue and fight and whatever, you know. But you know, if the Prophet brought about world peace in 1929. You know how crazy that would be? This man from North Carolina, I put the world at peace because he founded this organization, which was the purpose of it. To do everything that every organization after 1930 said that they're supposed to do for people, no matter what ethnicity or nationality, all of it comes from what Prophet did. And yeah, it's a hard pill to swallow for some people, but well, sorry, you know, the guy who you think is the founder of something, he didn't found nothing. He's a copycat that doesn't want to admit that he's a copycat. Because then what's all the followers going to do? You know what I mean? Like, it's common knowledge, you know, and then you know, then you have the agents who make up stuff and say that, well, you know, this person is the reincarnated version of the person that died, so let's follow him. And then everybody you know, everybody follow him. Just because. You know, that's how they set it up. You know, like deliberate, like set up like that. And while they're doing that, you know, they have because like the people who were directly under Noble Drew Ali, all of them became heads of their own whatever. Right? And then they had their own people, their own, you know, it's just like coming here and then there's gonna be some people that will side with Adiza, and then there's some people side with Tesla, and then some people side with Grand Sheik. It's the exact same thing. Right? You know what I mean? And that became a separate thing, because now a man's like, well, yo, damn, I got 5 people. He has 2 people. Like that means, you know, like I'm superior. So you know what? I'm gonna go do my own thing. And yeah, like, you might have been, you know, that might have been a real good idea to go here and do your own thing. But really and truly, yo, you have to keep the foundation. You know what I mean? And the foundation was real simple. Right? The Grand Sheik, Chairman, Assistant Grand Sheik, you know, empowered to make law, enforce law, you know, with the assistance of the Grand Body or the body of Moors for this particular constitution, right? And the people would let us know what we're supposed to do, you know, and everything will run smooth. But as soon as you have the head person, like, well, yeah, we should, da da da. Everybody's like, yeah, that's a pretty good idea, we should do that. Then you're done for it. Because the people's the one that's supposed to be setting the pace of how it's supposed to go, you know? I mean, in our case, there was nothing up here, right? This is what me and Chairman were building on about when Noble Drew Ali said that new Moors are gonna come. I think we talked about it in one class too. That new Moors are gonna come is a very bold statement, right? Because if there's Moors from, like, okay, we know that between 1913 and 1929, Noble Drew Ali came to Toronto, right? Like he came here, chilled for a little bit, right? So he was here. After that, there was nothing with regard to Moors in Toronto, right? Until we started. And that's like 2007. Right? So like that whole time, there was no talk as far as Moors up here. Right? But south of Canada, there was activity of Moors all over. So those people aren't new. They've been here from the foundation. Right? Noble Drew Ali didn't even get to set up anything up here. All you got to do was come meet with somebody. But if to set up something, if that would have happened, then yeah, from that time that he set up something here to now, we would at least had something going on up here with regard to that. You know what I mean? So this is really the new. Right? The new is the places where the temple's never been before. That's the new, where the new Moors are going to come out of. Because majority of the people who came into this information up here, they didn't even care about no nationality card or anything like that, or paperwork or anything like that. And they were standing up on rights harder than people who had nationality cards for 50, 60 years. And paperwork. You know, like not having anything and standing up on birthright just because of, well, you know, I'm not black because I'm brown. So, like, okay, like let's do this, yo. I can get with that. You know what I mean? I'm indigenous. Tell me I'm not indigenous. First indigenous to dark-skinned people. And backing people down, whoever, like police, judges, whatever. without anything, like without really digesting what noble joy, just having this concept that, hold on a second, you know, if Moor is an indigenous person, and I'm not black, so then that means I'm a Moor. And then there's black and Moors in Europe, and then black and Moor, and then they took Moor off and called me black. Okay, I can get with this. Like, I get it. Like, I get what happened. Right? And bad up the place. Had the place weak. Right? Without anything. You know what I mean? You know, like CAS, like, had the place weak. Just because. You know? From the jump, from the start, we were given this in the proper perspective. From the heads. Not from just some people who were just on the side doing nothing. But the people who were actually heads of temples, like, pulled us out of one away and said, okay, this is how, this is what it looks like. This is what it is. This is, you know, right? Here's everything that you need to do that. You know? And putting it out there that, yeah, there's sellouts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And there's guys who are like, you know, like who are in sodomy and stuff like that. That say they're more Science Temple. Right? Have certain things that they really shouldn't have, like if they say that they're you know what I mean, engaging in certain things. You know? Right? Because that's how deep that's how deep it goes. You know? And people doing messed up stuff under the name of Moors has nothing to do with true Moors. And the Moors that are faithful to the Prophet, and right? Like nothing to do with it. Totally different jurisdiction. And that would make it easier for people to know that, okay, well, that's not the only outlet. Right? Like the problem is that there's no more holy temples of science, right? Counteracting that move that the sellouts are doing with the Moor Science Temple. Because it's deadly. Like, it's deadly. The split between, you know, like nobody already said, all Moors are active, not passive. Okay? So if you're not active, that means you're passive. And if you're passive, then you're not active and you're not doing what Noble Drew said to do. Because he said all Moors are active. Right? And then that's why he called this a movement. And then everybody copied him and called their thing a movement, but they're stagnant. When movement means activity. But they're not on that. They want to chill and have Moorish church. And pray and sing hymns and, you know, go back to the corporate state when they leave there. And then when they come there, they're Moors. Only when they're at the temple, they're Moors. Because, you know, Prophet said you have to carry your fez to the temple. So, you know, if I'm not wearing my fez, like, I guess I'm not a Moor. Right? But how people get like that? They're taught like that. By agents who know what the truth is, and they're gonna exercise, just like Pope's gonna go pray to Virgin Mary that's really a set and Heru. But he's not gonna go tell the people, hey, you know, in the back room, I don't really pray to the one that you guys I actually pray to like the dark skinned one. You know? Like what's everybody gonna do? You know? Even though there's pictures
all over
with
Europe.
with him praying to them.
All over Europe.
But they have a white picture in their house.
Yeah, that's messed up.
Yeah, right. They show pictures of him going to pray in front of
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yo. They got pictures of him like, you know, seeing it and bowing and you know what I mean, doing it like, you know, whatever to it. Yeah. You know. But he also does it to the European ones.
The white ones.
Yeah. But then, you know, you have to look at okay, so what you trying to say? You know what I mean? Like, what are you really saying? You know, without saying anything. You know. But they'll just say, well, you know, he did it to the European one, so I guess that one's doing it too. You know?
Trying to confuse the people.
Trying to confuse the people. Right? Which is the point. Because once you have people confused, if they don't know day from night, then you have them tired all the time. You know what I mean? Don't know, like, I can't work right now. Like, I'm so tired. You know, it's 6 a.m. Like, why do I feel like this? You know, have everything backwards. You know, and it's deliberate and it's by design to be like that.
Well, you know what? When I think about it, that's a really well designed plan, man.
Yeah.
Right.
That whole thing.
Well, look how
when
well
I
it
realized
works.
everything, I'm like, damn, these guys went that deep.
That's
that
how
far.
it
So I
works.
can race and do all these things.
Yeah.
That's a genius plan, though, really.
Yeah.
You gotta respect the plan too.
Right.
But at the same
from,
time,
from one end, you know what I'm saying? You don't respect it, but it's so deep.
But it's deep,
I
yeah.
had
You have
no
to.
clue that any of that was real, you know? I
Yeah.
couldn't believe it when I started seeing all this thing, you know?
Yeah.
So you gotta respect that, man.
like at the same time, Drew Ali went farther. That's like he's a prophet.
Yeah.
And he went to an extent where it's like they can't reverse or undo what he did. Which she says it's a matter of like sliding yourself in. If you know what's up, like you know who you are, you know yourself, then like they can't infiltrate you. They can't infiltrate you unless you let them.
And what they really want to infiltrate is your psyche. Right? Infiltrate your thinking. Right? Like by wanting to debate me. So I can make him famous. Right? Like, nah, like you make yourself famous. I'm gonna make you famous. Because I know I'm gonna kill him in a debate. I know. Like, it's not like, it has nothing to do with books and how much stacks of books I have. You know what I mean? Like, profit's in my corner.
Yeah, but why would somebody want to come and challenge you like that in the first place? Is this just about grandstanding?
Yeah,
On their part?
pretty much.
Awful. I mean,
Right.
why are you wasting
Pretty
that
much.
energy, first of all, instead of uplifting, falling you back?
Exactly. There's a job that has to get done.
Yeah.
But it's always been like that, though.
That
Even when
too.
you look in the Bible, all the big prophets, the
too.
same story was going on with them all the time. Ain't that
Well,
too?
you know, there's a time and a place for debate if it's warranted, but why, we
If
don't
it's
even have to play that game. You know what I mean? If they want to do stuff like that, let them find people to do that with.
Right,
But over here,
exactly.
we don't do it like that. We
Exactly.
got more important things to
There's
do.
way more important things to do.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know? Especially with seeing that the activity that we're doing is actually is uplifting fallen humanity for real. Like, it's not even like a joke thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's really doing that, right? Like, what? There's people who aren't even here that seen a YouTube or something, and they're like, yo, like, point us in a direction, because where we're at, like, there's some crazy Moors in that temple over there. Like, we don't want to go there. What do you mean you don't want to go there? Like, it's temple, you know what I mean? Like, you're supposed to go to the temple, go in there, don't worry about what they're doing in there. Nah, you're not going in there. There's some crazy Moors up in those temples, right? Trying to own people, whatever, right? You know. Also, too, to touch on too, with Jeff Fort and the El Ruckins and all that, right? Like, they're saying directly that, yo, they're El Ruckins of the Moor Science Temple. So like, even the gangsters know what El Ruckins is like basically gangbangers.
Okay. Sorry. Okay.
Right? Yeah, you know, like street gangs. Though.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
But they were on the signs.
L on their name.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, they were on the signs, right? And people were saying that, oh, well, you know, are they affiliated with the, are they not affiliated with the town? When the reality is, they're affiliated because majority of this information getting out is from people who were in prison that talked to somebody that put them onto someone, like the same thing like in Malcolm X.
Right.
With how, oh yeah, you know, the Nation Islam, you need to get down with this because, you know, yeah, just look at the dictionary and, yo, exact same thing going on. But it's Moors doing that, right? And I can say, yeah, because there's Moors. There's Moors in federal penitentiaries right now, doing like, you know, like years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, whatever, sending me literature. Like, just send me stuff, you know, pictures, you know what I mean? It's like how do you have this?
You're on
right?
the inside.
Like, how do you have this? How come I'm not seeing this anywhere else? Like, how do you have this edition of this newspaper in the jail? You know, right? You know, and I think really that was almost like a safe haven for a lot of the last bits of literature, you know, because the Moors who were in there, like the beef, the split beef was real. Like, people got murdered and stuff like that. You know what I mean? There were shootings and stuff like that, right? So it wasn't some little beef. This split in the Moorish movement, right? Where people are getting killed and people going to prison and going to jail and courts and, you know, there's a book, I can't remember the name of the author, but there's a book called Sacred Drift. Sacred Drift. And the author's name is, I think, Peter Lamberton or something like that. But the Sacred Drift is like a good book about the temple and the prophet. You know, it's kind of like a like reading some Peter Moon talking about the temple, right? And just, you know, talking about it in the right perspective. You know what I mean?
By who?
I'm getting the name right now.
Excuse me.
Yeah. Peter Lamborn Wilson. Peter, Lamborn, Lamborn Wilson. Sacred Drift. Essays on the Margins of Islam is the name of the...
Is that Peter Lamborn?
Wilson. Peter Lamborn Wilson. Right. So, like, even on that level, like, you look at you know, the amount of Europeans out there, you know, that openly talk about the Prophet. Talk about, yeah, like, you know, he was teaching black people that they're not black people. You know, like, that's just so brilliant. Like, you know, like, that's, you know, where does that come from? With this idea, you know, right? People who don't really, in a sense, look at it completely, you know. They just hear about it, or, you know, it's an interesting concept. You know what I mean? That, you know, like, even when you tell people, where is there, like Sister Moko was here, right? Where you from? I'm from Trinidad. Okay. So where are they from? Trinidad. Where's the dad from? Tobago. But, like, where's his ancestors from? Tobago. Where else is he gonna be? No, but I mean before them. Yeah, like, still there. You know? because they want to make that connection that we come from over there. When over there is not over there is still here. Because it's the same landmass. It's not two different land masses. You know, it's one conglomerate of people. You know, like, it's simple.
For example, it's the same when you say West Indies.
Yeah.
Right? You come from the Caribbean, it make you feel as if you're somewhere different. But it all is America. South. South America. So when I tell you if I come from South America, one white man tried to argue with me, and I argue back with him. Because he tried to tell me, oh, this Guyana, so why are you making it South? I said, no, it's South America. I am an American. I'm not from the West Indies. I'm done with them. Yeah, because I'm claiming it. Because if you go on the map, that's what you're going to see.
Exactly.
It's crucial because it's a situation like going back to the movement of people who are indigenous saying, okay, you know what, we're gonna govern ourselves. We don't need like you guys. And so then as they've been doing that over the world, the concept is like, how can we slow down the indigenous people here from doing that? On whatever level they end up doing it. Because they've had a different standard of living. Right? Higher levels of education. There was a republic that existed, right? That they actually assisted in. Now if they start saying what other people are saying, but in a different way, or maybe according to this prophet who came there, right? Like they're gonna have some success with that, right? But like it's a guarantee they're gonna have success because as long as they have the prophet at the forefront, then like you can't lose, right? But it's getting caught up in you know, which corporation, right? And then that's like when they ask you, you know, where they want to know which corporate African nation state that you're gonna like like homie, like are you serious? These like, you know, like corporate boundaries that were created in, you know, I don't know, the 40s or the 50s. When logically, if I just told you like, you know, my grandparents were here, my great grandparents were here, then before that, it was a Moorish empire, right? So like, who just said one landmass, right? One landmass and also one empire. So from there, what's with all the questions? Right?
So because everybody's been fed the lie.
But it's still doing capture now. Because when you go places, they're going to ask you, what's your grandmother's name? What's your grandfather's name? What's your mother's name? Somebody asked me, so what all of this got to do with my grandmother, my grandfather? What we call it? I can remember one time a Mormon come, and then this is the question he asked me, and I asked him, I said, what this got to do? It's tracking up to now? I asked him, this is a tracking movement because they gotta track you. Yeah, and you know, make certain that they get you in the settlement that you're nobody more leveraged you. You know?
That's right.
Yeah, so they're still tracking up as well.
And another way to track is through the temple. You reserve your rights and know yourself, and you're a part of, you know, the movement. You're doing the uplifting works, and which is really, you know, more old Canaanite temple work, right? Then you'll know what the game is. You know what I mean? And that you're not liable to the things that people who don't do the work properly, right? And who just take it for, and are just stuck in the corporate jurisdiction, right, are liable to it. Because obviously they're not expressing it properly. If they're just going and singing hymns, then they can't rightfully say, well, you know, I'm part of a society, a body politic, I'm a representative for all these people who are beneficiary to a trust, right? And you look up trust, and it says the declaration of a trust has been held to be an effective substitute for incorporation for its many advantages, which will undoubtedly shine though to the reader by the following table, right? I have prepared this table based upon the work by John H. Sears, who, after discussing the impact of the twin landmark cases on the grave lack of profitability of using corporation for inter alia dealing in real estate, right, went to task in outlining the distinct benefits of express trust. And we're all beneficiaries of an express trust. So some of them are, you know, express trust, governed under equity. Trust law is the most well-settled body of law in America. Corporation governed under statute, forever changing according to political agendas and schemes. That one right there, like I don't even.
Can you mind repeating? Did you say something about corporations?
So this is a table, right? This is a table that this individual put together, and this is can be found in Weiss's Concise Trustee Handbook, right? We've been reading from before. This is a 2008 version. Express trust, right? So this is like the cons, the benefits. Governed under equity. Trust law is the most well-settled body of law in America. Corporation, governed under statute, forever changing according to political agendas and schemes.
Interesting.
So, you know, and it's, well, you guys are, you know, your corporation is, you know, restaurant, so you fall under this statute and you need to, you know, you need to follow these codes and et cetera, right? Because it's a corporation governed under statute. A trust is governed under equity, right? Law.
I know, and also too, keep in mind with the corporate entity that isn't us, right? The birth certificate fraud or whatever they want to call it, right? That's why you're reserving your rights anytime you use that thing, because it's corporate, right? And you don't want to attach yourself to it in the sense of you being it or exercising as it, right? But under a trust, right? You being the trustee, you entrust that thing because you have control of it. You have the leash, right? To be able to go out and, you know, you could use that thing to go out and get a license if you need it. To go get a job because you have to drive trucks for a living. Or you could use it to go get some schooling so you can be able to, you know, do whatever it is, the schooling, you know. But that corporate side is just like it says, is according to political agendas and schemes.
So you don't really have the control.
Yeah, because it's a scheme to say, I'm this corporation, when you're really not it. Right? That's why you reserve your rights. Because, you know, out of private necessity, I'm running this fraud, using paper money and all these fraudulent things. I'm not doing it because I want to do it, right? We're doing it because, you know, we're under occupation. And being that we're under occupation, you know, this is how we should be dealing with stuff from the trust perspective, because that's how everybody else is dealing with it, right?
Gotcha.
When other people come here, they know that this is a fiat system over here. So they're gonna deal with it on fiat perspective. They're not gonna deal with it like it's really money, and you know what I mean. Like that's why they had to create the thing where, you know, like if you go file, you get bankruptcy, right? And they'll say, okay, well, I'm gonna file Chapter 11 or whatever bankruptcy, and then you file bankruptcy because, you know, you owe $80,000 or something, right? But after you file bankruptcy, you're free and clear for 7 years. And then you know you reestablish yourself or whatever. But how come nobody comes back for the stuff? How come the stuff's not repossessed? If there's a debt for it, and then the debt's not paid, and then the person files bankruptcy, then how are they getting to keep the stuff still? Like how come the company's not? How come the company's saying we want the fiat, we don't want the stuff back?
Yeah.
Well, why? What is the reason why?
Right?
How come they never pick up?
Because the trust, that thing that was bought, it's under the trust of the one who said, here, I have the card that has the credit on it, so trust me, I'll keep it, right? But really and truly, that's ownership, right? The only problem is that those people didn't follow up and create a document saying that that's their property. They just, think that it's theirs,
So you're saying when we file something for a corporation, then there's a chance that anytime they can take it away from you?
Right, exactly. That's why they could go in people's house, take their children out, right? Because the neighbor called and said, oh yeah, I heard crying, so I think they're abusing me. And then they're going to come in and then take the child out.
You're saying? The state still owns it when you make it a corporation. Which is
right, the state has a claim in it too, because it's corporate. And in order to say I have a corporation, it has to be registered with the corporation that's saying that they're government. Right? Because don't forget, they're not really government. Like, the people are really the government, and they're really corporations. Right? But people are voting for, Nike, and then Nike won the presidential election. And then now Nike's the president of the United States of America.
So you're saying when somebody opens a business very strong, will make it as a trust account?
That'll be the way to do it.
If you open a business?
If you do anything.
Instead of a corporation?
Set it up as a trust.
But what about like the part, the corporation sometimes they protect you against certain things? Because like you said, if you for example, you don't have the money or whatever, you file for bankruptcy, they don't come after you. Yeah. Or for example, see when you have a corporation, what's the other thing? It's not like really you. So you could put everything on it's like a person, right?
Right.
A corporation. So you could protect yourself too.
Yeah,
as far as business wise.
But the trust is the higher person than the corporation. It's more protected in a trust than in a corporation. Right? Because remember that you probably missed the beginning part, but we're talking about the corporation, right, of the Moorish Science Temple of America, that everybody pushes as that's what it's about. When there's really a trust, which is the Moorish Divine and National Movement, which is a way bigger jurisdiction than the Moorish Science Temple of America. So the Moorish Science Temple of America, being that it's only 11 months old when the Prophet passed away, it doesn't have, it can't even make the claim that it's, right? Because it's not from 1913.
Yeah.
That's from 1928.
Yeah. But you see, what I'm trying to understand is, why is it set up as a corporation? Why would the Moorish Temple be set up as a corporation or as a trust? Like, why? Is it for business-wise? Was it for like,
okay,
which way? What's the reason for
first, you have to understand, okay, some of the questions you had, like, difference between a trust and a corporation.
Yeah.
In the notes on page 18 of the same book, White's Concise Trustee Handbook, we have, okay, although corporate officers reserve the relative right to plead the fifth, they have merely the relative right to plead the congressionally interpreted spirit of the amendment, not the letter of the law, due to their 14th Amendment citizenship.
That
Yeah, I should repeat that. Although corporate officers reserve the relative right to plead the Fifth, they have merely the relative right to plead the congressionally interpreted spirit of the amendment, not the letter of the law, due to their 14th Amendment citizenship. So there's a few assumptions there, right? And a few things to maybe get a definition. So the Fifth, right, is the Fifth Amendment. Right, so what's the Fifth Amendment? It has to do with not saying anything. Don't perjure yourself. So it says that they reserve the relative right to plead the Fifth, but they actually only have a relative right to the congressionally interpreted spirit of the amendment, not the letter of the law. So they don't have the right to do exactly as the Fifth Amendment says. Because the Fifth Amendment is for natural people.
And there's no such thing as a relative right anyway. Rights are absolute. You
Right.
can't, you don't compare them to something.
So then really it's just a privilege which can be taken or changed, right? Like the other thing said.
Or instead of changed, amended.
Let me ask you a question though. You
So,
see, as a
let me just
corporation.
finish this up because this is another sentence.
Yeah.
So the next line says, trustees and express trust have the absolute right to directly refuse self-discrimination as well as indirectly on a jurisdictional basis. See Lieb, Probst, al. Supra, Boyd versus U.S. Supra, and Silverstone Lumber Company versus U.S. Supra. So these are cases of, there's a company versus the U.S., so they probably lost. There's an individual versus the U.S., and yes, one other individual. So this is case law. This is from Weiss's Concise Trustee Handbook, telling you, like, if you're a 14th Amendment citizen, then you're going to be limited, and you're going to be subject to amendments and changes and whatever, as it said, political agendas and schemes.
Just like what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
Right. And then that's why
we do these changes in laws all the time.
But see, but then also too, that's why the Klan was killing niggers. Because the United States was trying to make niggers real people when they're actually 14th Amendment citizens. And they wanted to give them the status of a citizen. And the Klan stands for the Constitution. They're like, nah. You guys can't do that. What are you talking about? And then that's the war between the North and the South. Because the South is saying, okay, well, if you're gonna say that they're people, no, if they're gonna be people now, then we should get compensated for selling it's not property. It's not some slaves. If you're gonna make them real people,
Yeah.
all right, okay, fine, cool. Then we have to get compensation if it's real people, because they're slaves. Like they're so. Are you gonna what? You're gonna make a slave a real person under the Constitution, which says that's not supposed to be done. It can only be done through naturalization.
I got a quick question. Was anyone else, I don't know what you word to use, but categorized as the 3/5 of a person, 14th Amendment, besides our people?
Probably Hispanics and Indians and poor whites. And,
Yeah, right.
At present, unless you declare your nationality, then you're everyone. This is from 2008. Okay. Although corporate officers reserve the relative right to plead the Fifth, they have merely the relative right to plead the congressionally interpreted spirit of the amendment, not the letter of the law, due to their 14th Amendment citizenship.
That's like the difference
So,
between
assuming
theory
that-
and practice.
everyone is 14th Amendment, which is the correct assumption. Right? So another thing on express trust, lifespan of 20 to 25 years at a time in order to avoid rules against perpetuities. Death of settler or trustee has no effect on life or affairs of trust. Succession of power is quiet and private.
Okay, but the first part about the 20 to 25 years, that relates to trusts?
Yeah, so this is under express trust.
Okay.
A lifespan of 20 to 25 years at a time in order to avoid rules against perpetuities. Death of settler has no effect on life or affairs of trust. Succession of power is quiet and private. So, the trust, embodied in the trust is, or attached to the trust is everything that Drew Ali said and even did and wrote down. And he said it'll take you 50 years to understand what it brought you, and in 50 years, you won't know that I was here. 50 and 50 is 100, which is an increment of both 20 and 25. Right? So it's the lifespan. When it says lifespan of 20 to 25 years at a time, it's at a time. So yeah, 20 years. There's probably 20 years after the Prophet, there's probably nobody expressing their trust. But in the trust, it said that the trust is forever for your children, and that it'll take you 50 years to understand anyway. So
yeah, that's what I didn't understand.
So it's no, the trust exists, right?
The trust can't be dissolved.
Can't be dissolved
because of how it was set up by the trustee,
Okay.
by the truster, right? The initiator of it,
Okay.
right? The person who set it up in an express format,
Right.
so that the trustees are the beneficiaries.
Okay.
Another thing, trustees are not required to file reports with any entity and are accountable only to the beneficiary, governed strictly under principles of equity. Okay. Business name is naturally protected by injunction. May also use trade name or trademark for trust purposes without registration.
What? So when you have a trust account, you don't have to file for your trademark? Is that what it means?
Yeah, right. So let's compare now. Corporation. Lifespan is perpetual or a certain number of years according to legislative requirements. Again, you know what I mean? Waiting on the legislators to say you can do this, you can't do that. All officers' changes must be reported, which records are open for public view. As far as business license, the opposite is the case. So they're required to obtain a business license as a corporation. They're required to file statements and reports quarterly, etc. They must apply for and secure fictitious firm name and must register all trade names and trademarks. All federal excise tax and state organization. This is for a trust now. All federal excise tax and state organization and franchise taxes are legally avoided. Right? For corporation, the opposite is the case, except for state taxes in certain states. In either respect, all corporations are taxed indirectly via inflation.
I'm sorry, bro, did you say that all taxes can be avoided?
For a trust.
For a trust?
Yeah. Now,
how can you do that?
because it's natural. It's with the natural people. It's trust. Me and you. I trust you. Okay. I trust. All right. You want to give me some gold? I'll hold it for you. All right. Cool. You want to watch my land for me for 10 years? I'm going on a mission.
But when you set up a trust account, who do you go see to set it up? I don't understand how it works. Like,
okay.
Which documents you have to fill out or something?
Okay. When you talk about going and filling out something, right? You either have to apply, or you either have to register.
For a trust account,
right? No, for setting up something, like you're saying, you know, like how are we gonna get documentation or whatever. Once you have to go get documentation and all that stuff from somebody, that's corporate. That's not where you want to be, because that's the part of political.
Yeah, the game.
Yeah, right.
Agendas
right.
and schemes.
Political agendas and schemes are in the corporate part. So you don't want to go there. You could go there, you know what I mean? Because yeah, there's some benefits there that you can get, you know what I mean? Like there's people who go in there and benefit all the time. You know what I'm saying? Right? But it'll be better if you just go the trust route. Save yourself the hassle of eventually bumping into the scheme. You know what I mean? Because you're gonna get this, you're gonna get, you know, there's gonna be some sort of level of, you know? It's like when we first started like a non-profit. You know what I mean? Like, you know, we started non-profit because, you know, okay, well logically, you know, it's non-profit, then, you know, everything we do is just gonna go back to this or whatever, right? But, you know, and then there's like grants that you can apply for, and, you know, whatever. And because of the nature of what we were dealing with,
it was too heavy and you start
like, no, you guys can't get what you want. You know what I mean? You're just gonna have to be out there grinding because we're not gonna get anything from the pot. Yeah. Which you know, we don't wrong them because that's how, you know, I wouldn't support this either if I was them, because them supporting this means it's the dethrone of them.
Where can I get like all this knowledge? Let's say I have a business and when my business gets to a certain level and I want to set it up as a trust account. Like where do I get the knowledge for this and that? Because I know you coming at me about you need to file your taxes, you gotta do this and that.
Before you do that, you have to nationalize.
That's the very first step.
That's the first thing.
Because a 14th Amendment citizen can't
do anything.
Do a trust under common law.
So you guys don't have any book or nothing that shows you like everything that's included like in the trust?
And this is the Weiss's concise trustee handbook. So this is about trust, right? But like you said, you need to nationalize first, because then you're reading all these benefits, and you don't have the status to
even exercise them, to access them, which is what our problem is. Majority of the time, our status, which is what we try to tell people. That it's about your status.
So you're going to tell me you actually can change your status to more status in the government? No, they let you be that way?
What do you mean let you?
Not let us be, but I don't really know that.
You're more.
You do it, yeah, I know, you're more like technically, I don't know more, but I'm saying like, when people change their status, where do they go to change their status? Yeah, you just need to know it. Or
it's the same thing like with the trust.
With the paper,
once you have to go to somebody to do it, then that's corporate.
Yeah.
Once you have to go and say, can I have a form for the quote unquote?
Yeah, but how do you nationalize? Then how if this dude comes to me and tell me, yo, you can't set up a trust account?
No, a C button. Right?
How do you tell him, no, I've been nationalized, I'm a moron, this and that, you know? How?
Because you wouldn't be going to them in the first place for anything if you set up your trust.
No, yeah. But they would be coming to me if they see me, if they see a successful black, whoever's successful, man, they want to pay tax money.
But okay, let's say that, okay, if they see a successful black man, right, and say, yo, this guy is successful, he has a trust set up, he has whatever, then they own it. Because black people don't have anything. Because of his status. If his status is black, and he tries to have a trust, to set up a trust, like you know when somebody has the killing, right? A killing happens, and then somebody, we set up a trust for the victim, you know, and if you want to put money into the trust, you can put it in this account to this whatever, TD bank, whatever, right? That trust that they're putting the money into isn't the family. That's the corporation that owns that all capital letters name that's on the bank account or on the trust account. Because their status in setting it up in the first place was messed up. So they are so they went to the wrong avenue to set it up in the first place. Right?
That's like a lot of that. That's not something you can learn everything in that
No, it's not. No, it's not no one day thing. It's not no one day thing. But then that's why this was supposed to be done from 1913. We wouldn't have to be trying to
understand it and break it down.
Cram, you know what I mean? Cram everything in right now. we would have had at least, you know,
A base.
3/4 of it.
Yeah.
And that other quarter that the sellouts, you know, whatever, you know, we just pick that up. And, because there's nothing about Noble Drew Ali that people, common people, shouldn't be able to know. You know what I mean? Just like when I say, who's Garvey? Who's Jay-Z? Who's Eminem? Who's whatever? And everybody just be like, yeah, that's the guy. And then that's the guy. Who's Noble Drew Ali?
Yeah. That's true. He's all known for everything he did.
Who's that? I don't know. Who's that guy? Is he real? Is he, you know, what is he? I never heard that name before. Right? And then that's Noble Drew Ali. If you say Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali, you're going into a whole other thing that they don't even, that's not even on their radar, mentally. You know? Certain information is in mental oblivion to some people. Like they don't even know where to go in their mind to retrieve what they just heard. It's just lost in the space of the mind. This vacuum that's gone. Can't remember, no inkling of anything, just gone. Absent from the mind. That's what they wanted to do. Just like how it is right now. They say, hey, yo, you ever heard about Noble Drew Ali? Noble Drew Ali? Who's that? And then they say it like, who's that? Like, you know what I mean? I ask you who the devil is or something. You know? Right?
Well, how many books, how much time it takes just to master, you know, just the basic or whatsoever.
As far as what? Because
as far as you know, the whole thing about the trusting part.
Well, it's not. It's standard. You know what I mean? It's just like.
See, the part I don't understand. Okay, you say, for me to set up a trust account, you have to nationalize first.
Yeah.
To nationalize, I don't need no document or nothing like that. What I'm trying to understand is if they come at me then and they tell me, oh, you have to pay taxes, you have to this. If the government comes at me, then how can I tell them?
Huh?
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
What I was going to say is, you have children?
Yeah, I got one.
Okay. This is what you got to do, fam. It's not about you anymore. You got to think long range, all right? Forget the trust for today. Talk about trust for the future now. Feed the information to your youth. Learn what you need to learn. Feed it to information to you. And then that's how you're going to evolve. It's not about you. It's been 100 years, thousands of years of falling off. You ain't going to do it in one day and sit down. Because this is deep work, fam.
Yeah, it is. That's what
You got to start thinking long range. This is strategic. You're trying to play checkers. And that's how they got us. The whole story of the prodigal son, him in the swine pit, eating all that stuff. And he's like, yo, Bridget, let's come to his senses and say, yo, certain things have to wake up, and there's certain things in you haven't woken up. And it's not going to wake up just by you just reading certain things. It's like the seeking thing. You know what I'm saying? So then you come to your senses. Then when they come to you and say, Ray-Tay-Tay, yo, you don't even speak. It's the ether speaking through you. And you just fire them down. And they just say, yo, whoa. And they just leave you alone.
It's true.
And remember too, Noble Drew Ali said he did everything already.
That's right.
Right, and he was holding up Circle 7 and the 101. Right. In Circle 7, chapter 47, right, says that the Canaanites, Moabites, Hittites sojourned from the land of Canaan before the great earthquake. And they received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle in these lands. Right? That's what a natural person puts their trust in. Right? And he was holding up also this, right? The back of the 101s. Right? For the corporate people. So it's natural people, corporate people. He was holding up both. Like salvation. Like even if you're a dirty Moor, yeah, you know, you can here come, you know, you get to use this.
Might be dirty.
Still
More
more.
Right. But when
He's
you
not disowning the family.
Yeah, you can't disown the dirty one.
Right.
You know what I mean?
and as you come in, like you're you know, you're gonna be at the level of the dirty Moors. Because dirty Moors limit their thinking, right? Because they're below, right? It's up to you whether you want to stay there, right, or move on to be able to do, like brother said, right?
When you say the Canaanite, you speaking more of the children of Israel in Jerusalem? When you
Well,
say
yeah,
Canaanite-
because everywhere, go in the Bible, everywhere you see Israel, Canaanites are always there, right? And they're either born with them, or they're living beside them, or
They used to call
intermingling,
them like that,
right?
Yeah, they used to call them like that around the area.
Right. So, but really, it's like what is Israel? Right? They're just people in that area who, you know, we're gonna stick to this like religious thing. Right? We're gonna stick to hard. Right? They're different from the Canaanites or the Amorites or all the other Moors. Just Moors in that area. Right? And it just got to a condition, or for whatever reason, right? Partly because it was just desert. Probably didn't want to live there. Hold on, there's all that. Let's go over there. Right? The Pharaoh said, okay, you can go. Now science is qualifying all that stuff. You don't need to argue with anybody.
And that was the giving of the culture when the Moors adopted the ancient Egyptian culture. That was it, when the pharaohs gave the Moabites permission to go into the Americas and North Africa. Right? That was the transfer of the ownership of the empire, because Egypt was the capital, and that's where Pharaoh. Nobody's not going to deny that. That's where the pharaohs come from, Egypt. All right, so that was the capital, and the people in the capital, no different than, you know, the people in Ottawa or Washington D.C. or whatever, saying that, yo, these people over here, we're going to send them over there, and that's theirs over there. Don't bother them. Right? The Moabites from the land of Moab, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit northwest Africa, they were the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire, with their Canaanite, Hittite, and Amorite brethren who sojourned from the land of Canaan seeking new homes. Their dominion and inhabitation extended from northeast and southwest Africa, across the great Atlantis, even unto the present North, South, and Central America, and also Mexico and the Atlantis Islands before the great earthquake, which caused the great Atlantic Ocean. And then he goes on again to say, according to all true and divine records of the human race, there is no Negro black colored race attached to the human family, because all of the inhabitants of Africa were and are of the human race, descendants of the ancient Canaanite nation from the holy land of Canaan.
When you say is Canaan and Jerusalem the same thing?
When we have to look at the geographical location called Earth as one landmass, right? And that's what it is. It's one landmass. And it's just like if you go ask somebody in Australia, they're going to say that that's where stuff founded, where civilization was founded. you go to somebody in India, they're going to say that's where civilization was founded. If you go to Asia somewhere, they're going to say that's where civilization. If you ask the natives, they're going to say that's where civilization was founded. Because it was everywhere. You know, the Garden of Eden is earth, not a little part of the earth. That doesn't make sense, you know. Like the first thing God created is this little box. Right? And put people in there. And then everywhere else is just barren, just sand all around this little box with a river in it and a waterfall or something. And a tree. You know? The whole planet is the Garden of Eden. And everybody's claim is legitimate. You know? So once we start, like, because remember, right? Noah Ali is creating unity. He said that the human family all the inhabitants of Africa were and are of the human race, descendants of the ancient Canaanite nation from the land of Canaan. All inhabitants of Africa. Right? Okay, so if he says all inhabitants of Africa, we have to ask him, when he says Africa, what is he talking about? Is he talking about the continent? Everybody over there? Or are you talking about over here? Because over here is Africa too. If over there is Africa. If over there is Africa, then over here is Africa. Because here was connected to there. Right? So, the inhabitants of Africa, all the inhabitants of Africa, were and are of the human race, descendants of the ancient Canaanite nation from the holy land of Canaan. Right? If all the inhabitants of Africa were and are of the human race and descendants of the Canaanite nation from the land of Canaan, that means Canaan was first. And then that's why he said, O Canaanite temple, and that was first. Because O Canaanite temple is the foundation of the Moorish movement. And then it tells you that the Canaanites, Hittites, and the Moabites. And then when you read the 101 questionnaire, it's going to tell you, what is your nationality? Moorish American. Why are we Moorish American? Because we are descendants of Morocco, born in America. Okay? And then it's going to say, well, what nationality was Ruth? Then Ruth was a Moabitess. Okay, what's the modern name of Moabites? Moroccans. So Moabites are Moroccans, and then Moroccans are Moorish Americans. And the Moabites are brethren with the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Amorites. All one big happy family. Right? And we go on from there. But until we get there, like, this is what it's about. Dissecting everything, breaking everything down, because it has to get broken down.
So, just another note, we'll just touch on the Constitution. We're just going to close out soon, but just to get the Constitution, and I'll talk about the Constitution of the United States of America. So, a note on page 19 of the trustee handbook says, for an understanding of the profound superiority of Article 4, Section 2, citizenship over 14th Amendment citizenship, see Brobst et al. Supra. So that's a note for what it says here, which is, a trust may function as an Article 4, Section 2 citizen of the United States via its trustee, not a 14th Amendment citizen. The citizen is understood in constitutional law as the private citizen. Okay? Whereas corporation is a 14th Amendment citizen, regardless of citizenship of corporate officer. Generally, state corporations require officers to be citizens as well. This citizen is inherently public due to the nature of the amendment. So corporations are citizens, 14th Amendment citizens. And the officers, like people who, the managers and stuff, are also 14th Amendment citizens. A trust, right, is an Article 4, Section 2 citizen, according to the United States of America Constitution. Right? And then you as a trustee or a beneficiary, you're going to be also a private citizen as a beneficiary and a trustee to that trust. But if you're not, then you can't attach yourself to it. Right? And so, what is the Article 4, Section 2 citizen? Article 4, Section 2. The citizens of each state shall be entitled to all privileges and immunities of citizens in the several states. A person charged in any state with treason, felony, or other crime who shall flee from justice and be found in another state shall, on demand of the executive authority of the state from which he fled, be delivered up to be removed to the state having jurisdiction of the crime. No person held to service or labor in one state under the laws thereof, escaping into another, shall, in consequence of any law or regulation therein, be discharged from such service or labor, but shall be delivered up on claim of the party to whom such service or labor may be due. Right?
That's got to.
Dred Scott. Right. So the trust, right, falls under that authority as a citizen, right, or is connected to that. And so in order for you to exercise, like it says, the privileges and immunities, you have to be a natural person. You have to be yourself.
Can't be a fiction.
Can't be a fiction.
Can't be artificial.
You got that thing?
Yeah.
Got me there? It's on the record. Facts. So this is one of the brothers out here that started coming to class and basically wanted to put this on the record and have the Moors basically back them up in sending this message out, because he's a studier of Minister Farrakhan, and hearing what we're presenting made him question some things, right? So we're going to be sending this also too as an email. We're going to send this out, but we're also just going to put it on the record now, so that people can know that where we're taking our activity, right?
Transparent.
Right. Assalamu alaikum, dear Minister Farrakhan. First, I would like to start this letter by telling you how much respect I hold for your teachings and of the Nation of Islam. My name is Dimitri Yobi, and I am a Muslim. Although I do not attend the mosque and am not an official member of any group such as the NY or of Moorish Science Temple, with all respect to those groups, still I am a Muslim by definition of what the Quran states and not what man states. I have spent several years learning from Orthodox Muslim scholars and NY lecturers. I believe that all sources of knowledge, the planets, is power, and that as long as it is in accordance with the Quran, the sun, it is beneficial to all mankind. In this past month, I have for the first time met with some black Muslim Moors who have introduced me to Moorish laws and some of the teachings of Noble Drew Ali. The chamber of knowledge they have presented me with has caught me by surprise because up to that point I thought I had the science of black history figured out. Several debates took place at the end of these meetings/classes, the topic being you, the Nation of Islam, and the reasoning as to why the NOI have left out this very valuable piece of information, and since your team already knew about it but chose not to bring it up. These debates evolved around 3 points. 1. The teachings of Noble Drew Ali. 2. Proclaiming of Moorish nationality. And 3. The connection between the Moorish Science Temple of America and the Temple of Islam, which became the Nation of Islam. It is important for me to mention that I played the role of your lawyer during these debates with explanation such as the fact that it is not your job to do everything and that your teachings are the very source that gets people ready to digest and understand the chamber of knowledge of the Moorish laws, among other points. The Moorish brothers played the prosecutor, raising points such as those 3 mentioned above, as well as other not mentioned, and this is what has pushed me to write this letter to clear the air in my conscience. The point was that although NOI could not teach everything on their own, they should have at least pointed the masses out to different Moorish scholars who would have been able to take it to the next level of their knowledge. Much like how you mentioned and brought up things from Scientologist scholars that could be beneficial for the nation. I'm asking you to organize a date in which we can set up a video conference of no more than 30 minutes with myself, you, and the Moors. It's important for me to mention the Moorish Brothers are the first organization of its kind in the city of Toronto, which is where I'm writing from. And since it is a non-profit organization, our budget is limited and cannot surpass more than $200. It is our hope that you will get back to us with a positive response in regard to this request, in the understanding that this is to be done for the benefit of the nation and the spirit of resolving this conflict instead of a divided mentality. Please contact and email for anybody else is johndoex_25@hotmail.com. So John Doe, JOHNDOEX_25@hotmail.com. So, and this is going to be some of the activity. Give thanks for it. This is going to be some of the activity that Canaanland Moors are going to be starting to do. Right, creating a paper trail and reaching out to these people to bring them into the fold, because really it's about, whatever it is that you're doing, we're not saying don't do that. We're saying do it in a free national name. Even if you want to call it black something, cool. At least have a free national name talking that black stuff. So you can at least have some type of remedy based on your status. Not based on what you say or how you say it or what books you have, but because of your status. Because the first issue at law, the first thing that's going to come up is going to be status. Like, bottom line. Alright? So, we give thanks for Brother Dimitri for taking that initiative, which is what we hope majority of people that never heard about Noble Drew Ali before and come into this information, question your teachers and your leaders as to how come this information is not presented. So you can find out for yourself why it's not being presented. Because it applies to every single school of thought. The nationality and birthrights issue. Was there any questions or anything like that before we? Everybody's good and clear. All right. So tomorrow again.
Yeah. Once again, we give thanks to all active Moors. We give thanks to the Prophet. Thanks to Allah, the great God of the universe. And 5 on the left and 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
Mother and father of love,
Mother and father of love,
truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is our protector, our guide, and our salvation, by night, and by day, through his and her holy prophet, noble Drew Ali. Amen. Ameen. Ashe. Hotep. Sila. Islam.